I had been retired for 7 years when the knocking started, not the polite kind, not the bureaucratic tap-tap of a courier drone or the coded thrum of a Federation officer at my door. This was frantic, clawed, panicked. 3 sharp impacts, a pause, then 2, more like someone trying to remember a rhythm under stress. I set my coffee down slowly. Old habits die hard. So do old instincts. My house sat on the edge of New Dresden's coastal cliffs, a place chosen specifically because nobody came here by accident. If someone was knocking like that at midnight, it meant trouble had found me again. I stood, reached under the table, and felt the familiar grip of a pulse pistol that technically no longer belonged to me. Retirement paperwork doesn't erase muscle memory. The door chimed once. Marcus Hale, a young female voice, said through the speaker, breathless, "Please." "We need you," I frowned. The door camera flickered, then stabilized, and my heart missed a beat. 5 figures stood on my porch. Not human. They were tall, for girls, but unmistakably young. Their skin shimmered in shades of bronze, emerald, and deep obsidian, catching the porch light like polished scales. Horns curved back from their temples, small and elegant. Wings folded tight trembled behind them. Their membranes translucent, like stained glass, dragonkin, and the way they were looking at my door wide-eyed, frightened. Desperate I'd seen that look before, 20 years ago, on a battlefield that burned blue. I opened the door. The smallest of them stepped forward, her voice shaking. "You met our mother, long ago, before she was queen." The world narrowed to a single name I hadn't spoken aloud in decades. Usha. All 5 of them bowed at once. "Queen, Usha, Flame of the Dawn," the eldest said, "and she is in danger." I let them in without another word. Some debts don't expire. They crowded into my living room, wings brushing furniture that suddenly seemed far too fragile for creatures born of fire and sky. I took in the details, like a soldier injuries first. One had a scorched wingtip, poorly healed. Another's scales were cracked along her collarbone. All of them looked exhausted, eyes ringed with gold instead of white, flickering faintly as if holding back flame. "You shouldn't be here," I said finally. "Dragankan royalty doesn't travel without an escort." "That escort is dead," the second oldest said flatly. Silence fell like a dropped shell casing. I exhaled slowly. "Tell me everything." They exchanged glances, then the eldest all, crimson-scaled, bearing herself like a commander despite her youth, stepped forward. "I am Suralith," she said. "These are my sisters, Naira, Kesh, Lumia, and Verix. We are the daughters of the Queen, and our mother trusted only one outsider." Her gaze locked onto mine, the human who once saved her life, 20 years earlier. I was a Marine captain deployed to the Helios Fringe, where the Federation had decided the Dragankan territory was strategically ambiguous, which is diplomat speak for "we want it." Our dropship went down in a storm of plasma and fire. I crawled from the wreckage with a broken leg, half my unit dead, and enemy drones hunting survivors. That was when she found me. Usha wasn't a queen then. She was a scout, barely older than these girls, her scales a softer gold, her wings scarred from a dozen battles. She could have killed me. Should have. Instead, she carried me through ash storms and minefields. She hid me in volcanic caves, shared her rations, defended me when her own people wanted my head. And when Federation bombers came, she stood between them and a helpless human soldier. By the time my extraction arrived, the war had already begun turning. Because of her, we parted at dawn. No promises. No names exchanged beyond necessity. But some moments brand themselves into your soul, apparently. Into hers as well. The Queen is dying, Sir continued. Not from illness. From poison. A human-made nanotoxin. I stiffened. That tech is banned. Yes, Naira said bitterly. Which means it exists. They explained quickly. A faction within the Federation Senate had decided the Dragonkin were too powerful, too independent. A queen who had once allied with humans and remembered their kindness was considered a liability, so they sent diplomats and assassins. The toxin bonded with Dragonkin, slowly choking their ability to regulate internal fusion. Without intervention, Asha would burn herself from the inside out within weeks. We stole her out of the capital, Lumia whispered. She ordered us to flee. To find you. I rubbed a hand over my face. I'm not a general anymore. She said you would say that, Verex replied softly. She also said you would still help. Damn her, damn me. I looked at 5 terrified daughters who had crossed half the galaxy on a rumor and an old story. All right, I said. Let's save a queen. The Federation Medical Corps couldn't fix Asha, which meant I had to go somewhere they couldn't follow. Old contacts answered when I called, voices surprised but respectful. Retired doesn't mean forgotten, especially not in humanity. Within 48 hours, a stealth corvette sat in my private hangar, its transponder dark. Its crew composed of men and women who owed me favors or believed in impossible things. The Dragon Daughters watched in awe as humans moved with quiet efficiency, loading equipment, prepping jump coordinates. Why are they helping? Kesh asked. I smiled grimly. Because humans don't forget their friends. And because we really hate being told who we're allowed to save. We jumped beyond mapped space. To a place no official chart acknowledged. A black market research station built into the shadow of a dead star. It was where illegal tech went to be studied by people who asked fewer questions. The station's master physician was an AI-1 of the old war models. Back when humanity trusted machines with moral weight, it analyzed Usher's blood, scales, flame signature, conclusion. The nanites could be purged, but only with a human neural interface. Dragonkin biology rejected AI control. Only a human mind adaptable, chaotic, stubborn, could override the toxin's command protocols. Sorolith stared at me. What does that mean? It means, the AI said calmly, Captain Hale must link directly to the Queen's biocore, and if something goes wrong. Naira asked. I shrugged. Then I die. The room went very quiet. No, Sorolith said fiercely. There must be another way. Asha stirred on the medical platform, her scales dulled, her once brilliant wings limp. Her eyes opened, and she smiled when she saw me. Marcus, she whispered. You're late. I laughed, despite the tightness in my chest. You always did rush ahead. Her daughters gathered around her, tears hissing into steam as they fell. Do it, Asha said. Please. So I did. Pain like fire and ice flooded my nervous system as the interface connected. I felt her heartbeat like a star going supernova. Felt the nanites crawling, resisting, trying to burn me out. I pushed back. Humans are good at one thing above all else. Enduring, I remembered frozen trenches. Lost friends. Carrying wounded civilians through orbital bombardment. I remembered Usher's wings sheltering me from death. I refused to let go. The nanites broke. One by one, They disintegrated under a flood of human will and dragonkin fire. When I woke, I was on the floor, a blanket over me, my head pounding. A roar shook the station, not of pain, of triumph. Usha stood, wings unfurled, scales blazing brighter than I had ever seen. Her daughters rushed to her, laughing and crying, surrounding her in a living crown. She looked at mirrorly, looked and bowed her head. Humanity saved its queen. She said, I grinned weakly, don't let it go to our heads. The fallout was spectacular. The Senate denied everything. The dragonkin revealed everything. Evidence of the toxin, the assassinations, the illegal research flooded every channel. Worlds that had stayed neutral suddenly remembered who had stood between them and extinction in the past. Humans' trade routes shifted. Alliances realigned. And when the Federation tried to sanction Earth, dragon fleets appeared in orbit peacefully, unmistakably. Usha spoke before the assembly. Humans are not our servants, she said, nor our masters. They are our friends. Harm them and you harm us. No one argued. As for me, I went back to my cliffside house. Sometimes 5 young dragon women visit. They bring gifts, rare metals, stories, laughter that rattles the windows. Sometimes Usha comes too. We sit on the porch, watching the sea. To veterans who survived when others didn't, you changed everything, she told me once. I shook my head. No, I just answered a door. Far across the stars, people still whisper the story about the human who met a dragon woman once, and when her daughters came knocking, humanity answered, because when a friend calls for help, we always do, asterisk.